we've never had a great handle on how many applicants we actually had in the past. Now we have a significant increase in the number of applicants, significant increase in the actual ease of which applications flow through and from our undergrad to graduate programs. The data on those, just the total number of enrolled population is significant. I'm Brian Deal from Touro University. I am the Director of CRM and Admissions Retention Operations. Touro University had many different CRMs prior to Anthology. We had, I believe it was 7 different smaller CRMs, no larger ones, and they were different ones throughout the entire institution. So it made it challenging when you wanted to look at aggregate data. There wasn't any because they were all individually housed in little silos. So once we started looking for an option of an all-in-one application and CRM, this became one of our only choices that we were looking at. It is a single platform that does both. Not many other groups do that. It's usually bolt-on other items. We weren't looking for integrated items. We were looking for ones that talk together simultaneously. So that's part of the reason why we decided to choose Anthology Reach for the CRM project. Specifically, the application and the recruit side talking together was essential to us. We had this lost funnel of multiple other CRMs that we couldn't determine who was a prior lead versus who attended an event, and then link that up to our application system. It just didn't exist. So once we switched to Anthology Reach, all of that was one single piece of data. Reach has made everything simpler for the entire institution. The data is all in one place. Some of the things that we often have challenges with are little bits and pieces of information, like Touro has a policy of, if you're a minor, we want to get a consent form from your parents. Well, now we have automated pieces in place inside of Anthology Reach that detect if someone's a minor, trigger it so that it prevents other actions from being taken on that student, whether it's a decision or even just general interactions with the student. Those are things that would not have been possible. We use tons of workflows, Power Automate flows to do those kind of things, and it really makes the job of our processors easier because it automates those processes that they have to manually find in the past. So those things don't exist anymore. It's taking little pieces regularly that were once manual and making them automated. Touro has taken an approach of identifying a problem that we have in an institution and then using the platform with an Anthology that's built on Microsoft Dynamics to be able to solve those problems. So one of the key features here is Power Automate flows. Regularly every week we're building some sort of Power Automate flow to solve an issue that we have that we could not do unless it was manual. And a lot of those issues are systemic, where they're just massive things that if we couldn't do it through through workflows, where it was triggered by an event that occurred in the system, then processed a couple other items throughout the system, it would be items that we just wouldn't be able to do. So it's really given us a lot of leverage in the system on things that would have been completely manual in the past. One of the things, as someone who's developing a piece of software, is you want someone that has a vision, and then I want to be able to tell you how I can make that vision possible with the technology. And based on just Anthology Reach and its Microsoft platform of the Power Automate flows, there's almost nothing I couldn't do. The customization within the system is endless. So if you have dreams, I can make those dreams reality based on what we can do. Or another big component for Touro is real-time marketing. Real-time marketing is relatively new in the space. It's been received many updates over the last year to 6 months that have been significant updates. There are regular updates that are being made to that piece of software, and it's something that's new to Touro and something that we had to think differently on. Everything we thought in the past was, well, you submitted a request for more information, I'm going to send you a series of 6 emails and hope you applied, and that's it. Because of some of our groups and the dreams and visions they have, we've developed a series of interconnecting journeys that when you do a certain action, it triggers you to hit a different journey, or you might hit multiple journeys at once that are on different timetables. But essentially we know exactly where you are within space, and we want to target specific things based on how you interacted with us. So real-time marketing is essential, that we're building out groups regularly with that kind of emphasis on some sort of trigger-based item that's going to lead to communications that help you get what we want or whatever call to action we need to get from you. But if I can take pieces of the jobs that other people have throughout the system and automate their components and make them more reliable on the processing aspects of it, then that frees them up to do other more high-end things, like recruit better students or work with your academic programs more regularly to be able to make sure that we're finding exactly the students we want. But you have the ability with this system to do whatever you want and to eliminate tasks that are just manual. Touro's a massive institution. Many of you may not have heard of it before, but we represent somewhere around 19,000 students in multiple countries in many states throughout the United States, primarily with medical school programs or things in the medical school nature, but we also have many undergraduate programs. Essentially where I'm getting at is we have hundreds of members of staff involved with admissions throughout the system. And those admissions offices are spread over 35 different colleges on more than that number of campuses. It's just a massive, massive group. So when we start talking about people accepting what we're doing, it was not easy at first to get them to do that. They had to understand their business. They had to understand, well, what are their admissions requirements, which sounds really silly and fundamental that you would need to know that. Like, well, what are my application deadlines? What do I need to apply? What should my application look like? How should it feel to a student? All of those things were different. We had 35 different answers in the room. So how do we make them the same? The product itself wound up allowing us to make custom experiences for everyone. So if I was in a particular college or a particular program, I only see what I need to see. I'm not seeing everything else. So it took staff a while to understand what the need was and then accept it. But certain groups throughout our system did a really amazing job, and they are so far ahead now because they've done that. And other groups throughout the system, they're working with more baseline functionality. So it is a little bit difficult when we have larger groups like that to be able to get them all to do advanced items, but they're all doing basic functionality at this point. That's far ahead of where they were. I think as we move on with the product and some of the advantages that we've actually been able to give them, so many more of our users are now more accepting to say, I want to do things. And I just mentioned about real-time marketing and how we have other groups that are doing some amazing things with real-time marketing. We have like 4 other groups right now that want to go on and do exactly the same thing as those are. So I think the product and feedback builds upon itself, where someone's success, like those early adopters that we might have had within us, they've seen success, that's spread to other groups that says, you know what, that's an amazing idea, I'd like to do that as well. And those things kind of snowball into each other until we actually have ideas that are way beyond what we initially had. So if I were talking about user acceptance, I think it's something that's a slow build over time, especially with a product like this, that you're going to want to advance regularly. And I think those advances that you wind up building over time wind up creating more momentum for the institution.